Hey guys, so today we're a bit more up close and personal, as you can see. So my friend was asking me how would she go about getting her foundation to stay on longer during the day, because she finds that by the time she gets back home or by the end of the day, it's just not there anymore. And I must admit that I've had that same problem before. So I said I was going to make a short video for her. Hopefully it will be kind of short, but we'll just see how it goes. Okay, so the first thing that I do is I moisturize my skin, and I use this Easy Melt Sheer Butter. It's something that I just get from the hair shop. It's 100% natural, 100% pure. Now when you get it, you can see I've basically, I'm running out now because I use it on my kids' skin as well. It's just the best thing to use on your skin, especially if you have problematic skin. You don't want to be irritating it with, harsh additives and things like that. Now I'm only going to get this little bit here, and it's going to take a couple of moments for me to rub it into my hands. And the reason why I'm only using a little bit is because I don't want to have that excess oil on my skin. Now that was enough for my whole face. It's just to bring some moisture back into it without oversaturating it with oil. Then I go in with my MAC Prep and Prime, just my face primer. And I use a couple of squirts for that. And again, that goes all over the face. And this will help your foundation just to glide on. Don't forget to do the neck as well. Okay. Yes, I do my ears. Okay. Now that all your prepping of your skin is done, so now I move on to concealing my skin. I'm using the MAC Pro Conceal and Correct palette, and this is in medium deep. I'm going to be using, I'm looking in the viewfinder and it's kind of like back to front, so it's kind of like, where am I pointing to? Anyway, so I'm going to be using this middle dark colour here, and then I'm going to go on to use the top one, which is a little bit lighter. And if you can see that very well. As you can see, this is kind of like, I've used this whole side here, apart from a little bit of the yellow. And now I'm stuck with these darker bits. So anyway, let's get on with it. So I'm just going to use a little concealer brush. This is the e.l.f. Professional Concealer Brush. It's really small, it's really easy to use, like precisely and whatnot. So all I'm going to do, and then using my mirror, I'm just going to conceal all of those blemishes. All over my skin, and I can feel it just gliding on. You can see I'm not making, I'm just putting it on. I'm not focusing on any particular point. It doesn't really matter if it's a mess because I'm going to cover it anyway. Okay, so now you can see I look like a hot mess, but that's just going to help to conceal all of those blemishes that I do have on my skin. So now what I'm going to do is go in with my MAC Studio Fix Fluid, and this is in MC41. And I'm also just going to be using just a foundation brush. And what I do is I tend to, bring my hands up, I just dab it on to the back of my hand. This helps me to control how much I'm actually putting onto my brush, because I don't want to overdo it on my brush. and then end up with like loads on one particular area and having to, you know, smudge it all out and just fan it out all over the face. So I know I'm just going to be picking up exactly as much as I need, and I'm only picking up that much, and I still have some left on my hand. Okay, so this foundation I find gives me like medium coverage. Because I've got so many blemishes and whatnot, like they have kind of been minimized. Right, I can still see one there, I don't know if you can see it, but there's one like right there, and that's the most annoying one and the hardest one for me to eradicate. So what I end up doing is going in again with some more concealer, but this time I'm going to use the top one, which is the lighter colour, because then when I put my foundation over it, I don't want it to be too dark, because the concealer helps to change the colour of the foundation. So I've just picked up the lighter shade, which was at the top. And this time I'm going to be a lot more precise. I'm not going to go in this everywhere like I did before. I'm going to only focus on the outstanding blemishes which are still there. So even though it does still look a little bit messy, it looks a lot less messy than the last one, which was just like strokes just all over the face. I'm going to do the same thing again, but I'm not going to put as much foundation this time. I'm only going to put a little bit. Now there is still quite a bit on my hand, but I'm only going to pick up small bits of it. Yeah, I do tend to pull into my hairline so that you don't have the foundation and then the color of your hair line. Like, especially if you're pulling your hair back, you'll find that the little bit of scalp which is showing in between will be very pale in comparison to the color of your face. So now I feel that my skin is a hell of a lot more flawless. I don't have those blemishes on show. Now it does take, you know, practically 2 layers, I guess, for me to get that final result. But if you didn't want to spend time having to conceal and then put the foundation on, re-conceal and put the foundation on, then I guess what you could do is just go for a really heavy duty, full coverage makeup foundation. I prefer to have a medium one so that I can control how much foundation I'm putting onto my skin, but that's just me personally. I guess if you're just trying to get up and go, like get to work or whatever, it's probably a better idea just to have a full coverage foundation instead of doing all of this. But I guess each to their own, however you decide to do it. This is just how I decide to do it. Okay, so that is something that helps to keep your foundation on for longer, which is, you know, putting on your first layer, re-concealing and putting just a little bit more on. I didn't put loads and loads on. I just went in again on my full face. Okay, now what I do believe helps to keep my foundation on literally all day is the way I apply my powder. Now I'm using You can see that this is worn. It's a Collection 2000 sheer loose powder. You can get loose powder from anywhere. I mean, you can get a drugstore, you can get MAC, you can get, you know, Bobbi Brown, whatever one you feel works for you. But I would definitely say in order for this to work, a loose powder is better than a pressed powder, just because you can pick up more product each time as you're going along. Because this is loose powder, I find that it tends to stick to the top of the lid, so I just hit the lid. Oh, my brush. I'm using the Real Techniques brush. This was actually a duo fiber collection, and this brush, it's just so, it's not very dense, as you can see. There's a lot of space between the bristles, and this helps pick up the powder without picking up way too much. It's easier to control. It's a lot easier to control in my opinion. Now do be careful when you're using loose powder. See, look, it gets all in the lid. So that's enough for me to work with as is, and I usually work from the lid anyway. So what I'll just do is put my brush in and just lightly do a mixing motion. So I've got plenty on there, and I've still got plenty left in the lid. Now I'm not going to just stroke it on like you would normally think to do. What I tend to do is put it onto my skin and twirl it. I'm not pressing hard. Okay. Now you can see that took quite a while to do. And that's because you're buffering the loose powder into the skin, and it's really helping to set that foundation and keep it stuck to your face. I find that after I've done this routine, I don't have to worry too much about touch-ups. I don't have to worry about, you know, my face getting all sweaty and oily. Even though I have put on an oil-based moisturizer, the shea butter, I know it was only a little bit that I put on in the first place, but still, you know, I find that after doing this, I don't actually have to worry about blotting my skin as much. But I generally don't have oily skin in the first place. If you do have oily skin, I guess you may need to, you know, blot your face and redo the method. This is like one of the last steps that I go and redo again, just so in my head, I know that my foundation is definitely set. You may feel that you don't need to redo it again, but that's just my personal preference. So I do it straight after I've done my foundation. I contour, I do my eyes, I do my eyebrows, and then I go back in with my powder. Then I do my my blush and all of that other jazz. So I do it twice. You know, after I've done it and I leave out in the morning, that's it. I'm done. I'm sorted. But see how you guys get on with it, and let me know if that buffering technique makes any difference to you. I mean, I found this technique through Wayne Goss. He's so many amazing videos, you know, from everything, you know, about makeup. He's just amazing. So check out his videos if you wanted to get some more information or some more techniques about how to keep your foundation set throughout the whole day without having to do many touch-ups. So I'm gonna go off and do the rest of my makeup, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks, bye.